Today we are discussing a 250-pound 7-year-old who unfortunately passed away from a heart condition. We're also going to be talking about someone on the other end, another 7-year-old or 9-year-old who was totally ripped. He went by the name of Little Hercules. We're going to be discussing these two children and these two extremes, why I think, honestly, both are child abuse. And I mean, what does this say about our culture that we have kids that are 7-year-olds are 250 pounds? Obviously, this hits close to home for me because I was an obese child, turned teen. I was 230 pounds, but not at 7. So anyway, you actually, hun, you sent me this article.
Yeah, so I was up at 2 in the morning, just what you do at 2 in the morning, and I saw the headline. I didn't actually read the article. I just forwarded it to her, and so I
didn't read it.
Well, I just know that it's a 250-pound kid, and something about the cops got involved or something like that.
They did. So you didn't read it. I did. So this is going to be new for him. So I'm going to read it to you guys. It's a short one. We're going to get his reaction. We'll get your reaction, and then we're going to talk about it. So here we go. From Fox News. Parents of 7-year-old who died weighing 255 pounds, charged with murder in suspected neglect case. The parents of a 7-year-old boy who died weighing 255 pounds has been charged with murder following a case of suspected neglect near Flint, Michigan. Damien and Jessica O'Brien are charged with second-degree murder, torture, and child abuse, according to authorities. First responders were called to the O'Brien's home in November after their son, Casper, stopped breathing, according to a report from affiliate Fox 2 Detroit. The young boy was bedridden, unable to speak, and living in filth, according to the report. He ultimately died at the hospital from a heart muscle disease compounded by morbid obesity at 7 years old. Janice, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, County Prosecutor David Layton told the outlet the conditions were so severe that police noted they could not enter the house to help paramedics because there was no room. Both parents were employed and had health insurance, but neither Casper, who Layton noted was nonverbal and likely on the autism spectrum, nor his younger sister received medical care, according to the report. They knew enough to call the veterinarian the very morning the child went into cardiac arrest because the dog was sick, Layton told Fox 2, but yet they don't take the kids to the doctor. It doesn't make any sense to me. Casper's 5-year-old sister, who Layton described as feral, was removed from the home on the day he died by Children's Protective Services and has been placed into temporary foster care. So there we go. That was the article.
Wow, I didn't know the kid died. So if they're charging the parents with murder, that means there was, I believe murder is intent.
Or just extreme neglect, right? I don't know how the actual charges work, but because it was extreme neglect on their part that led to the kid's death. Like, it could have been preventable, but they never called the doctor, apparently.
Yeah, so I guess there's many questions that that's going through my head as I hear you read out the article. It sounds like his sister was feral, so that I wonder if that represents that neither of the children got out. The boy was bedridden.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like they were in a condition to be seen that often out in public. So it's kind of hard to raise a warning flag when you don't see the kids at all.
Yeah.
What's going through my head is, were there other family members that knew about this condition, right? So I can imagine if the kids, one is feral and one is bedridden, they probably didn't attend school.
Well, no, and morbidly obese.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the key thing here is this was clearly abuse. Okay, these parents were clearly not normal, but I think that this touches into subjects that I talk about, right? When it comes to childhood obesity, this is obviously an extreme case, right? These parents are messed up. I don't think that normal parents who have obese children, my parents definitely, are not these people. Okay, so people have considered childhood obesity, have kind of, compared it to being neglectful or to child abuse. It's a tricky and sensitive subject, I know. In some ways, I agree in that a kid being that morbidly obese is always the parent's fault. I say this about my own parents, even though I love them, and I know they were definitely not these parents, and they did not mean it, right? They did not mean to be willfully neglectful, or they didn't understand themselves, right? Which I think is the case for a lot of parents. However, it is still the parent's responsibility. I think that now, in today's day and age, where we have so much information at our fingertips, parents have less and less of an excuse. Number one, I think, to be obese or overweight yourself, right? And like we all know, what makes you obese, same with your kids. I've also seen troubling content, I think I've shared with you, where it's like the donut mom. Every day she's, she makes money on content on social media from posting content like what I feed my 3-year-old. And she will do things like powdered donuts and then gummy worms on the side and then like pancakes. You know what I mean? She feeds them these ridiculous stuff. Her kids are clearly already getting overweight. But yet body positive influencers and fat acceptance people are like, leave her alone. She's doing the best she can. But yeah, my thing, sorry, I'll say my piece, I'll let you speak on, is as an obese child, okay, that is setting your kid up for a world of abuse, for a world, you're just not setting your kid up for a great start in the world, because battling obesity is very hard. It is something that you deal with the repercussions with now, even now as an adult. It's very hard to battle it. Not a lot of people do. A lot of people are dying from it.
Yeah, and so it comes down to, in my head, that what is the definition from, I think you guys call it health in every size.
Yeah, health at every size, fat acceptance.
At what point does it go transition from I'm a parent to child neglect or child abuse or child endangerment? Mm-hmm. And I understand a lot of it has to do with intent and other factors. It's not as simple, and that's why it's a gray area. But at what point, in somebody that takes that position, that there is health at every size, when does that transition occur, or does it never occur? It's interesting to hear. I'm curious if you are of that mindset or that philosophy that there is health at every size.
Is there?
Is that true?
Does that be true for a 7-year-old?
Yeah, and especially when, especially bedridden, it sounds like there's some other cognitive issues occurring within that household. So at what point does the child actually have any control over his or her environment or any of these conditions? It's not like they're making the money. They can make the choices to go out and, buy food or whatever. You're at the whims of your parents.
Oh, for sure. Well, the answer to that is no kid really has that choice, or really should have that choice, because that is the parent's responsibility to take care of them. So it's not a child's fault for not knowing any better, right?
So what point of the body mass index is, okay, now this is a red flag to teachers, healthcare professionals, all these other things, to start triggering that domino effect, to start putting people on the radar that are going down this path?
Yeah.
Okay, obviously weight is only one component of this big picture of child neglect or child abuse, but it should it start raising these warning flags?
Yeah.
And who is going to be those ones to actually wave those flags and say, alert authorities that something's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think it's an interesting subject. Obviously, it's a sensitive subject sometimes. Like I said, I don't think most parents who have obese kids did it purposely. Okay, they may not have did it purposely, but they did do it, because you are in control of what your kid eats. You are in control of bringing the food in the house. Oftentimes, these parents with kids who are obese, they themselves are obese because they pass on their habits to these kids. But you're right. At what point? Yeah, when doctors see them, do they raise red flags? This is why I think the health at every size, fat acceptance, body positivity people can be dangerous, because they now rally against doctors. Now they say things like, well, if you go to a doctor and they talk about your weight, get a different doctor, right? Or, you can go to the doctor and you don't have to get on that scale. So they say all this bullshit, right? And now doctors, I think, probably also feel like, well, damn, I don't want to be blasted on social media for being non-sensitive. Like, they don't know what to say. And also sometimes now these doctors themselves, I know they're just grifters, but they're on there too. Yeah, health at every size. Oh, health, we don't know why people are obese. It's a mysterious disease. Like we can't figure it out. It's more complex. Come on. We know why people are obese.
Since I'm not familiar with the position of health at every size, what is the definition of health?
They mean that you can be healthy at any size. Like, it doesn't matter if you're fat, obese. I guess, yeah, I know that's a good question. Like, what is their definition of health? Because I would say that a lot of these people who are in this movement, they do have things like diabetes and heart problems. But I maybe wonder if their position is, well, it wasn't caused by my obesity. I think that's their stance.
So if I'm just doing the wordplay game, if it's health at every size, that's ambiguous. But if you say healthy at every size, that's now starting to limit the scope of that gray area, right? Because it isn't healthy.
Yeah.
Right? But if you just say health, that's just a ambiguous word to me. But again, I'm not, just looking at the granularities and reading into these things. So.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's I know that there are creators who touch even more specifically on the fat acceptance movement. I know some creators who were in that space before. I would like to hear from them. Because I do have trouble myself just understanding these people, because it's just clearly, I think I believe in common sense, and these people are not common sense. But yeah, what do you mean health at every size? Would they themselves be okay with having a 250-pound 7-year-old? Like, do they think that's okay? Like, if he hadn't had a heart attack, let's just say he had parents that were not neglectful, like they weren't crazy like that, but they let their kid get 250 pounds. What would they say? Yeah.
And with the fat acceptance, again, me being ignorant of the whole, everybody's position, to me, when I hear those words, fat acceptance, that sounds like resignation. I'm just willing to accept that there's nothing I could do, I'm helpless. But that's how, when I hear it, like just the word play, that's what I'm hearing. It's just resignation and I'm giving up, and there's nothing,
I think that's part of it for them. I think more so what they mean by fat acceptance is just people accepting them like in society, and not even just like accepting them in society, but just like, no, you have to think I'm beautiful too, and you have to think, I'm all these things.
I understand if they said fat acceptance, respect me, don't treat me differently, blah blah blah. I understand that. I understand respect, but you can't ignore the fact that that's not how the nature works. And just, there are these stereotypes, these emotions, all these latent things that are going on with weight and proportion and science and nature. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. It's like saying that I want world peace. That's not how humans operate, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
So.
Yeah, I mean, look, my stance has always been, of course, everyone's worthy of love and respect, no matter what size you are. Of course, you shouldn't be an asshole to people. But when it comes to, I think a lot of these fat acceptance people, though, they are more about forcing down this idea that, well, they are just healthy and perfect, and it's not wrong to be fat. We shouldn't have to pay for an extra plane seat, even though we don't fit. Like, the world should accommodate us. I think that's a big part of their platform as well. Like, they get angry when they can't do things like ride horses because there's a weight limit, because a living creature can't support their weight. They don't want to accept that a living creature can't support their weight limit. So they would rather put that living creature under duress instead of lose the weight. They don't want to pay for extra seats.
That's interesting, because when you say that an animal cannot support their weight, how could the person in their own living body support that weight too? Your ankles are hurting, all your joints. It just doesn't.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a natural thing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and their solution to everything is, well, the world should just accommodate us. The clothes, they should just make bigger clothes. They should make bigger seats. And I am not obviously in that position. I think that those should be wake-up calls.
Correct, but people that are in that position, that are overweight, that have money, start your own business.
Yeah, there's that too, right?
You know, start your own clothing line or whatever else. Start your own airlines where all you do is fly around people that are of similar position, you know.
It's interesting. I did a video not too long ago, and it was about Casey Musgrave. She's like a country singer. Anyway, she did like a collaboration with Walmart where she did a clothing line. And there was a fat activist who was upset with her because apparently her clothing line didn't have plus size, they say. It didn't have big sizes. Okay. And anyway, I looked up the sizes. No, they have plus size. The size went up to size 22, right? Like I think it was 1822. Those are plus sizes, right? Like when I was 230, I was like a size like 1820. So it's plus size. You know, you're a big girl, right? That, again, I was 230 pounds. I mean, I was overweight, obese. Like, we've seen my pictures. And, you know, look, I don't, we can't always accommodate everyone, right? So she was upset. The clothing line did have plus size, but what she meant was they just didn't have big enough sizes for her because she was over 1820, right? And again, my thing is like, look, at what point is accommodating people actually just being more harmful, right? Because at what point do you have the wake-up call? You know, you can do what you want to do, but...
My thing is that people go into business to make money. Unless you're a nonprofit or something else, a philanthropist or whatever. But again, it's called business for a reason. It would be foolish for anybody to invest a lot of resources into a small return on investment segment. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. But But going back to these children, obviously the deceased, I'm curious as to, are there aunts, uncles, grandparents? Somebody else had to know, unless I can appreciate if they were very remote or isolated. I could better understand it, but I'm curious. I have questions. Let's just say.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, it's just really unfortunate because this is not obviously one of the only child abuse cases we've seen. This is just clearly a more, I would say interesting is the right word, or more specific one, because in a lot of cases when you see child abuse or neglect, it's the opposite, right? Like the kids are not being fed or they're abused in other ways. So this one is kind of weird, the fact that he got to 250 pounds as a 7-year-old, right? Like, was there forced feederism going on?
I'm kind of curious. What are normal 7-year-olds? What's the range? I clearly not 250. I'm just kind of curious as to what.
Yeah, let's look it up. Average weight for 7.
Clearly, I'm not a parent.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's not 250. Average weight for a 7-year-old boy is approximately 50.5 to 51 pounds.
Yeah, that's
insane. 200 pounds heavier. I mean, no wonder he died at 7 years old, right? That's 250 pounds is too big for an adult.
That and being bedridden, clearly the quality of life the mental abuse along with the actual physical abuse, whether it was actually bruises as the traditional forms of physical abuse. But clearly he died I think they said he died of a heart attack. Yeah, okay, that's physical abuse, you know. I'm kind of here now. I'm going to try to flag this story because I'm definitely curious to hear what comes out in discovery as they go through court proceedings.
No, I'm just, I don't know. I'm curious about this case because I think it opens up the conversation again about these fat acceptance people, like Tess Holliday. I don't know, do you know who Tess Holliday is? Okay, well, she's a plus size model. You guys know who she is. She's 300 something pounds, and her kids I think are also overweight. Would she be okay if her kid reached that weight and is going to die of a heart attack? At what point would she give up the grift and be like, oh, you know what? I got to get my kid healthy? Because I don't know. I want to hear from they'll go quiet. They're not going to talk about this though, of course.
But there are people that have turned against. They have moved away from the fat acceptance movement. Yes. I want to hear your story. What is your reaction to this? Yeah. This story, is this normal? I mean, not normal. Is it? Does this not shock the conscience to you, or is this not a wake-up call to this type of philosophy or this way of thinking that it's healthy? I just don't get it. I mean, but again, I'm willing to have that conversation. I want to hear a different position other than what, what's in my head. I'm genuinely curious to see how other people are thinking. Yeah, just because I'm not exposed to that every day. So.
Well, I would be curious to see how they rationalize it, right? Because clearly we know that this is a problem. Clearly they know too, but there's something, for whatever reason, they've got to do this grift. But yeah, as far as people who came, obviously the people who came out of it woke up, right? And they understand it for what it is now. It is the people that are still very vocal about fat acceptance and fat liberation. Yeah, I want to hear now when you see a kid, what if it was your own kid, right? That is dying from obesity. I want to hear from the what's it called? The anti-diet dietitians. Okay, when they're championing, oh, you go, mama. We all know who I'm talking about. She's not the only one. It's okay, feed your kids donuts all the time. Again, at what point is she going to stop that grift? Because the kids that are in these videos that she's saying, you go, mama, they're pudgy. They're not 250 pounds. However, if those habits continue, they will be.
There's one thing though, if you're saying it to adults and the adults believe that grift, hey, these are kids.
Yeah, exactly.
They have no control of their environment. It's frustrating to hear that type of stuff because, they had the potential to have a whole life ahead of them. They had the potential of turning their life around and seeing that light, and breaking outside of that environment if those warning flags were raised earlier or caught sooner and that they were pulled out of that environment. There was a possibility that they could have made something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think about that all the time, like who I could have been had I never gone through obesity, because it affects you in so many ways, right? I've been real personal with you guys, at least on Patreon, I've really had some conversations, but it affected me, obviously, just with bullying. It affected my health. It affected, I think, my relationship with food, and I think, only made me more prone to, I think, addictive behaviors and left me with loose skin, right? My body will never be normal. So now it's something that I've had to struggle with, right? My entire life. I've gotten out of it, and that's awesome, right? But I had to deal with a lot. And it's like, now you have these kids, like it could have been prevented, man. And now they have to go through all this themselves. And a lot of kids will never get out of it though. That's the thing. A lot of people, once they are overweight or obese as a kid, it continues into adulthood. And most people never lose weight because it's hard. It's really hard.
So we have this extreme where obviously the kid's very obese and more mortally obese. Yeah. And what about that other extreme where you have parents that force their kids to go, I want you to be an Olympic athlete. Oh
yeah, we want to move on to that?
Yeah.
Little Hercules, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna move on now to a kid called Little Hercules. And you told me about him. Actually, I'll pull up the pictures later on screen. Little Hercules kid. So this is the AI overview. I'll read for you guys real quick. Little Hercules, real name Richard Sandrak, gained global fame in the early 2000s as the world's strongest boy, performing grueling workouts while boasting bulging muscles. Today, he's a 34-year-old stuntman living a quiet life away from the extreme bodybuilding world. So his childhood fame, the routine. Driven by his martial artist father and fitness enthusiast mother, he reportedly began training at age 2 and maintained a militant routine of hundreds of sit-ups, squats, and push-ups daily. The physique. By age 8, he weighed 80 pounds, which is more, I think it was like 30, 40 pounds more than normal, had less than 1% body fat, which I don't know if that's healthy for a kid, and could bench press over 200 pounds. Also don't know if that's healthy for a kid. Controversy. His strict childhood, restricted diet, and rapid muscle growth led to widespread public concern. Many experts and critics speculated whether his father was administering performance-enhancing drugs, which his mother denied. Ooh, okay. The turning point, when Sandrak was 11 years old, his father was in prison for domestic violence against his mother. Following this, Sandrak severed ties with his father, quit the strict bodybuilding regimen, and stated that weightlifting had become boring. So now it looks like he does stunt work and he's different now. But yeah, that was an interesting story too, on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, and again, we talk about abuse and it can come in many forms, right? Obviously the physical and the mental abuse. And it sounds like when you're a child and you're your parents are trying to motivate you towards fuller potentials and teaching you values on, I wouldn't say not quitting, but not quitting so easily. And then at some point, are we now living out the child's best interest goals? Or are we living out the parents, what they wanted to be when they were younger, and try to develop, alternate, are they living vicariously through their child? Trying to get, once the fame hits, obviously you see the picture of this kid, he's going to be on every, magazine and, all the social media stuff. And it's like that balloon kid, right?
The balloon kid?
Right. Remember that dad that put this kid up in a balloon, hot air balloon, and flew him across a couple.
Oh, I don't know about that.
We watched a whole docu-series on it.
No, we didn't.
Oh my goodness.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
we'll get back to that in a minute.
Yeah. Anyways, it's just sometimes like the parents it's all about the parents trying to get the publicity, through their child, and that way they get latent publicity. So. Yeah,
for sure. For sure. I think that his case is interesting because clearly it's on the other opposite end of the spectrum from the older overweight kid. And, look, there are two extremes, right? When you have parents who are too strict about being healthy, or they have the coin term like the almond mom who never allows her kids to have any fun with food. And yeah, that can also lead to problems also. This was another extreme though, right? I don't think an 8-year-old should be that jacked, right? Is that even healthy for an 8-year-old's body? Right? Especially if he was being fed, obviously, the drugs, which clearly we know that's not healthy. And yeah, does an 8-year-old really want to be doing 200, 300 sit-ups per day? Is it necessary?
Yeah, what was he doing?
They said
I thought it was like 1,000 or something.
Something like that. But then they said he was like bench pressing 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, no, an 8-year-old kid, to get to that level that he was, his dad had been pressing him day in, day out, like grueling training session. And in some ways, I think a lot of people would be more willing to be like, oh, well, that's healthy, right? Because he's ripped and that's what we're supposed to do. But there's obviously extremes, especially when you're a freaking kid.
But it goes back to that term we just talked about, healthy. Is it healthy, right? And again, I'm not I don't know about all the physiology of the human body and stuff like that to be able to comment on whether or not at a young age, when your body's needs all the fats and needs all this bone growth, muscle growth, etc. I don't know how that inhibits or does it inhibit growth or health. So
yeah, no, same. Yeah, no, but that is kind of an interesting point you bring up as far as like the health at every size. It's interesting because a lot of people in that movement will say health at every size to mean, well, anyone who's overweight or obese, they're healthy no matter what, right? However, when it comes to someone being skinny, all of a sudden they're quick to point out, oh, you're too skinny, you have an ED, oh, you're gonna, pass away from being too thin. They're quick to talk about the BMI then, right? When the BMI applies to them though, it doesn't apply.
Well, I'm
so
curious
I think
to hear
that's
what those people, health in every size, what would they comment about this kid? Would they say that's unhealthy?
Of course they would. They'd be like, oh my God, that's abuse because the father's pushing him too hard. They shouldn't push him too hard. And in this case, I think they'd be right. However, I'm more curious to hear what they're going to say about the 250-pound kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's because I already know what they're going to say with the kid who's too healthy,
Yeah. How many pounds? You're trying to make me do math on camera, but how many pounds is that per year? Right, of growth. I would like to see that growth chart to get to 250 pounds by age 7. What are they feeding this poor child?
God, yeah.
And what I'm kind of curious to hear what that daily regimen of nutritional feeding that.
Well, I had thought about doing a video, like a 1-day challenge video maybe. I told you about this. You don't have to participate.
I'm not.
You're not going to participate, that's fine.
I don't even know what it is, but I'm not.
Well, I told you, I was going to do a day in the life of how I used to eat.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing it.
When I was like 14 or when I was a kid. Because I remember very well how I used to eat. It was not good, guys. It wasn't good. So I thought that would be interesting for me to try that now as someone who obviously has come out on the other end and eats healthy. But also, like, even thinking about it myself, I am almost just so surprised how I could do that every day. So just recently, this past week, I had a friend come in from out of town, and so we took like 3 days off, like just doing whatever. And you know, and I've always told you guys, like, I like to eat, and I will have fun sometimes, right? And I don't mind, you know, splurging, indulging, because I always get back on track. Anyway, just 3 days, and like we decided to go to like some food truck world. We got a bunch of food, and I mean, look, I can't say I didn't enjoy it when I was first eating it, but it's like after a few days, oh my God, well, you had some too, and you know how we felt. It was just a lot of salt. I mean, we did gain weight. A lot of it maybe just water weight, but we gained weight. Our stomach was just not good. I was so ready I could not wait to get back in the gym and back to our healthy eating schedule, you know, feel so much better now. So, but it's just crazy that there are people who eat like that every single day. I used to eat like that every single day. I don't know how.
To me, the reason why I'm saying I'm not doing that challenge is because I don't see the value. If you are watching Whitney and subscribing to her channel, you may be looking towards a change of behavior or lifestyle change. You already know. You already know. So I don't think there's any need for you to do that. Mm-hmm. They already know what it's like. And then you might as well be doing mukbangs.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I mean, I just thought it would be interesting to show. I mean, well, no, there are some people who, not everyone who watches me used to be overweight, by the way. You let them know, guys. I have a wide audience. But no, but I mean, I just thought it would be interesting because this is not because I was overweight like a few years ago. No, it was a kid. And so I thought it would just be interesting especially for maybe I have a lot of audience in different countries. This is what a typical American kid is eating. And also when people, because there are a lot of like overweight, obese people on the internet being like, but I eat healthy all the time. I'm 300 pounds, but it's just my genetics because I eat healthy. I'm telling you, no, you're not. Like, I want to show you what it really takes, how many calories it takes for me to have gotten to 230 pounds, right? So these people then who are 300 pounds and they're saying, I just had a salad today and a latte. No, you didn't. Maybe you did that day, not every other day. You did not get to 300 pounds by eating salads and lattes. So that's why I thought it would be interesting, and just to kind of contrast to what I eat now. And I think sometimes too, maybe you will watch that video and be like, shit, I eat like that now. This is why I'm obese.
All right. It took me like 4 months to lose like 15, 20 pounds. In 4 days, I gained back half of that. All right.
It's not all fat.
So you better Patreon up there, folks, if you're going to get me to try to do these challenges. Hey, go for it, but negative.
Well, it's not all fat that you gained. Most of it is
I really don't
weight.
care. It's still hard work that it took me to get down that to the where I was, and then I gain it back in like 3 or 4 days, and it just to me it's not worth it.
Well, for sure. That's like the biggest issue is like, it is so easy to gain the weight, so much harder to lose it. But yeah, well, when I did that challenge video, burning 800 calories every single day, I did that challenge just to kind of prove like I didn't gain any weight, but I also didn't lose any. And it's crazy because you think, well, you're burning 800 calories more than normal. But if you are not watching what you eat.
To me, it's not necessarily about the weight loss. It's about it gets you out of that routine, and it opens up so many other things like, oh, I'm kind of snacky now. Yeah. And it's those latent things that, that it's not just the weight, it's the mental and the I don't know, physiological type of things that affects.
Well, you mean like once you eat that stuff, it makes you crave it more, like you want it more.
I haven't touched chocolate, a lot of candies in like years. And then after, in the past month, I'll get up in the break at work and just start walking around like, okay, kind of snacky.
Oh, you sneaking snacks at work again?
See, look what you guys did.
Because he'll eat healthy at home, but he does this thing, and I notice go into the car and I find little.
That was one time.
It was more than a few times. Little kitty wrappers.
That was 2 times.
Little cartons from Publix.
That was 3 times.
Yeah. We got to get you back doing more walking. We were doing yard work today, right? Yeah. Yard work is a good workout. I did my workout earlier, but we got to get you doing more regular stuff with me too. Yeah, we all got to do it, guys. All of us. Okay, I guess that's it. That's what we have to say. I just thought, yeah, that was an interesting conversation, seeing the two extremes.
If you are family of these two poor children, my heart goes out to you guys. Okay, so spread the news, spread the warnings, let people know that what these warning signs should be for people that aren't parents like myself, or that's, you know, are in position to raise that red flag. You know, let somebody know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, well, thank you for being here. If you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. And of course, check out my Patreon and my my Spotify subscriber memberships, where I post exclusive content, a lot of content that I can't post on here. YouTube doesn't like me talking about weight loss anymore, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. But if you want to see more content like this, you want to support me and my channel, check me out on Patreon. For just $3 a month, you will get access to all my previously deleted videos, as well as exclusive content. And if you join the higher tier, the Discipline Club, for $5 a month, you will also get access to more exclusive content, live chats, or live stream FAQs, as well as we do like monthly challenges, like the challenges we were talking about with him. We do step challenges, diet challenges, where we do it as a group. We all motivate each other. And honestly, all of us have been like losing weight since we started these challenges. We've been getting fitter. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing them. And it is so much more motivating when you do it with other people. So if you want that community, if you want to check that out, then I will leave the links below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.